You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Welcome back, Michelle. It's time to talk about football regionals. We're already at football regionals. Our main teams that we cover, the CIC, Tipton County, LaPel, Hamilton Heights, everybody's eliminated except for LaPel.
Yes, are.
And then Howard County has a couple of teams.
Yeah, they do.
Sheridan is still around.
They are.
And, a couple that we've kind of adopted, Mechaniqua. Jeff a little bit, the teams that our teams play.
Okay. Yeah, we'll find out how many of them are still standing come tomorrow night about this time or by 11 o'clock tomorrow night, and how many of them are still playing or, get to go through another week of practice. I think they all have a chance. Some chances are slimmer than others, but that's why you play the games, and anything can happen. You never know. Illness. Who would have ever... I would have never thought that the Madison Grant game last week was going to be as high scoring as it turned out to be. And I think, sometimes just a key piece, Cole Stitt missed and on defense, and does his miss on defense, it affects other things, because when you're really good defensively, you kind of play as a unit and off each other. And,
yep.
And even offensively, what that does is, it takes one more weapon away offensively, means more guys are getting more reps, and affects them on defense too, because most of those weapons are two-way players for Madison Grant.
And Cole, of course, would have been big against the pass with his athleticism, and they were torched by the pass. And I think that was part of it was, like as we talked all year, they didn't really see a passing team all year except for Alexandria, and they put so much pressure on that quarterback that he never had a chance.
Right.
And it could come back to bite him, and it did. But I think if Cole Stitt plays that game, and of course, if he'd been able to at all, he would have.
Oh, most definitely. You're taking out a big piece. Some people might think, well, you play 11 on a field, 11 guys on the field at the same time, that's just one, but huge piece.
Yeah, and when you're taking the best player on the field and you're replacing him with a sub, you clearly are going down a little bit in quality.
And maybe you have to move. Maybe you move somebody because you need something else. So now maybe you move somebody to his position, and you're replacing some. So you're replacing two positions, really, because even if it's really somebody really good that moves, it just alters, and it means the communication and who you're playing beside. It becomes different, and offensively, it's different too. Cole was. He was a good he was a good runner. He was a good blocker.
Yes.
It's just just takes something away from you, and so I hate it. I do hate that for Madison Grant. They still had a great season, but so that's what I'm saying. Anything can happen. Anybody could, get hurt or end up sick or anything else.
Believe me, I know. My senior season ended far too prematurely. So. All right, Michelle. And some other thing, we'll start to adopt some other teams too as we go. The Westfield Fishers winner is the first. That's where we're going to start. We're going to start in 6A North. The Westfield Fishers winner we'll start to take interest in. Hamilton County and Hancock. Those are two counties that we care about that we don't really cover. Mm-hmm. So same with Clinton and some of those. So
right.
We will be interested in more teams than just the four that we cover. All right, we start in Class 3A. Number 3, Westfield is playing for its 8th regional championship Friday at Fishers. Fishers' only regional championship was in 2010 when the Tigers won the state championship. The Shamrocks won the 2016 state championship.
Yeah, Westfield, but Westfield is they're no strangers to postseason tournament success. And
by the way, Michelle, when I played high school football, they were in Class 2A.
When I first started working and covering, they were in the Rangeline Conference, and so was Tri-Central.
Yes. I remember a year Elwood won 1 or 2 games all year in boys basketball, and the win was against Westfield. That's how things have changed.
They have changed a lot, yes.
All right, Westfield is 10-1 and beat 7-4 Fishers 46-12 5 weeks ago. The Rocks have beaten Fishers 7 straight times. The last 2 times they've met, and the last 2 times they've met in the postseason. The last postseason matchup between the rivals was won by Westfield 31-0 on its way to a semi-state championship. You want to guess the Sagarin prediction at Fishers?
Westfield by 10.
Westfield by 7. Fishers been competitive all year with pretty much everybody they've played, except for Westfield, but that's a good team.
I mean, that is a good team, and they've got playmakers. I think perhaps the area that you maybe are a little concerned with Fishers is maybe defensive, defensively, because I think they've had some games that have been kind of more high scoring, and so. But yes, it's at Fishers, and so we'll see. But yeah, if I was to predict a winner, I would say Westfield.
Me too. All right, the other northern semi-state is number 10 Carroll at number 2 an unbeaten Crown Point, and of course that's the northernmost 6A regional. It's the only non-Central Indiana matchup in Class 6A.
There you go. I will say this: I really don't know much about either of those teams. Carroll's up there near Fort Wayne, and they play Homestead. They play a good schedule. Then Crown Point
They're, of course, in the Summit now.
Yes. And then Crown Point is in the region. I know there's some good teams up there. I don't know if there's as many good football teams up there. And where did you say this game is being played?
At Crown Point.
They're undefeated. I know it's going to be different. I will take Crown Point.
All right, I'm going to give you the Sagarin prediction here in a minute. But Carroll's only regional and semi-state championships came 2 years ago when they were beaten by Center Grove in the 6A championship. Crown Point has only 2 regional titles, including last year when they beat Westfield in double overtime, then lost to Ben Davis in the title game. Crown Point is 11-0, Carroll is 9-2, but they've won 9 in a row. You want to guess the Sagarin prediction?
Crown Point by 3?
14. Crown Point by 14. I think they're legit.
I think so too.
Let's go to the south, where number 11 Center Grove goes to number 5 Warren Central for a regional championship on Friday. The Trojans and Warriors have won 27 combined regional championships, made 17 state finals, and have won 14 state championships between them. 7-4 Center Grove has won 6 regionals in a row, while 10-1 Warren Central's last one came in 2018. The Trojans have eliminated Warren Central the last 2 years. You want to guess the Sagarin prediction?
Warren Central by 7?
3. Even at home. So the home field advantage is the difference in that one. Sagarin thinks Center Grove is a little better, maybe. So, what do you think?
Well, I think they are both really loaded with talent and D1 players. And I was glad to see that Warren Central's got an edge rusher for not only next year, but following year that's flipped his commitment and is now committed to Coach Signetti down at IU. That's always nice.
That was cool.
I know Center Grove, they've had some players that have made official visits to the IU football program. Both outstanding, both talent, but I will pick Center Grove just because I said I'll pick them until they lose a regional. Until
Warren Central proves it. I do think Center Grove is down quite a bit. Not down, but
right, because obviously Cherry. I mean, they have a different quarterback this year, so
yes. And but I believe Warren Central will win, but I wouldn't be surprised by either one of them.
No, that's what I won't be surprised if Warren Central wins. Either so.
And the other regional in 6A is also an Indianapolis area showdown. Lawrence North is 11-0 for the first time in program history and won just their second sectional championship in 34 years last week with a 24-7 win over Cathedral. This week's opponent, Brownsburg, is 10-1 and won its third sectional title in the last 4 years Friday by beating defending state champion Ben Davis 38-35. The Bulldogs haven't won a regional since 1985. You think that ends?
I don't know, but I will say this: I think that may be the best, most entertaining game in the state on Friday. I mean,
all four of those 6A games.
Yeah, but if this one is not really because of if that one does not have the stands packed on both sides of the field, shame on those schools because
yes.
I mean, obviously Lawrence North.
Brownsburg's will be, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, Lawrence North's always been known for basketball, not really so much for football, and they've kind of changed that this year. I will say this: I won't be surprised if Brownsburg wins. I think they've kind of flirted with it. They
were number one coming into the season.
Yeah, and
Lawrence North, of course, is number one now.
Right, and of course they beat Ben Davis last week, and I think Ben Davis is who took them out a year ago. So, I think maybe Brownsburg's playing with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, which doesn't hurt. Pressure's on Lawrence North being number one and undefeated, and it's a position they're not used to.
True.
I mean, so
they have been so dominant.
I know.
Surprisingly, from out of nowhere.
Yes. Well, like I said, I forgot to go back and read that article, but I made that comment that Kyle Neddenrip of the Star wrote an article on three brothers, a family with three sons that moved in and had when the kids were in like junior high, and I think they're all up there in high school now, and they've just kind of changed that program. So, you know what? Lawrence North is number one. But I will go with Brownsburg. I will do this for Adam Armstrong, who was a teacher and a coach at Tipton. He's now the JV girls coach at Carmel. And he and his twin are graduates of Brownsburg. And so he's done a lot down there. So, Adam, for you, I will pick Brownsburg to win. I won't be surprised if Lawrence North wins, though.
I won't be surprised if Brownsburg wins, but I believe Lawrence North will win. What do you think Sagarin thinks at Brownsburg?
I think Sagarin think that Lawrence North will win by 10.
4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Class 5A in the North. Number 2, Lafayette Jeff is 11-0 for the first time since 1982. After beating Kokomo 45-14 last week for its second straight sectional championship. Its second sectional championship of the last 3 years. The Broncos have never won a regional. They faced 7-3 and 9th-ranked Warsaw, which won its second sectional championship ever last week by beating number 1 Concord 31-28.
Yeah, I will say this. I think Jeff wins, and this is why. I think that very first game, the very first time they met Kokomo earlier in the season, when Kokomo kind of took them to the woodshed early in the quarter half.
17-0 early.
Yeah, and they rallied back. I think that was kind of a wake-up call. And I think Jeff has been kind of locked in and focused since then. And so, I'll pick Lafayette Jeff. The problem is I'm not sure that it's really hard because neither one of those do you think of as a football school.
No.
You think basketball school,
yes,
not football school. So,
I have no idea if Warsaw can cover the pass because if they can't, they're going to get blown out.
Yes.
Anybody who plays Jeff can't cover the pass.
If they can't stop or have a way of containing that wide receiver,
they've got two incredible wide receivers who, and from talking to Brian Gaskins, they have 4 or 5 incredible options. So, if Warsaw can, string of wins they've put together lately, they look like they are a dangerous team. What do you think the Sagarin thinks?
Jeff by 4.
Warsaw by 1. Oh,
Ooh,
the
okay.
microphone fell. Warsaw by 1. In the northernmost regional in 5A, number 3 Merrillville and number 7 Valparaiso are meeting in the regional round for the third year in a row. Merrillville's won the last two, 24-20 and 15-14, and has won 10 regionals overall and 4 in the last 5 years. The Pirates beat Valpo 35-7 on October 4th. Their only loss was to 6A sectional champion Crown Point in Week 3. The Sagarin prediction says Merrillville by 14.
Yeah. Now we all know. I mean, we've all seen history where that 35-7, is impressive. Hard to repeat wins sometimes by that broad a scope. And the only thing I can say is this, and sometimes you never know. I'll never forget Tipton's run in 1988 when Mississinawa torched Tipton at home, the Blue Devils homecoming, and then Tipton turned around and shut out Mississinawa in the regional. And
it just can't happen.
It can happen.
I remember a year, Elwood, 1985, maybe better than the 1987 team, beat Mississinawa 33-0 in Week 9. And in Week 10, they played each other in the sectional, and Mississinawa beat them 33-32. It can just happen.
It can happen. So that's why like I said, you play the games, and it depends on, sometimes if you've improved. It also depends on if your kids remember not to look at that first game and think, because the coaches never, I'll tell you what, great coaches, they never overlook anybody. I mean,
well, especially at this point.
But kids,
yes,
kids can, because
they remember that game.
Yes, and their buddies are saying, "Well, you guys are going to win." I mean, look, we smoked them 35-7 last time. That said, I think Maryville wins. I just think it's a closer final.
I think you're probably right. That's my guess. And like the Sagarin says, by 14. So that's quite a bit. That's twice as close as
yes.
It was the first time. And you never know how it got to be 35-7 unless you were there.
Exactly.
All right, in the 5A South regionals, 2 5A South regionals, 8-2 and 4th-ranked Decatur Central won its second straight sectional championship and its 7th game in a row with a 35-7 victory at number 5 Plainfield last Friday. Of all the sectional wins, that one might have been the most impressive.
As getting ready to say, it's an impressive win.
Yes. The Hawks, who are also reigning regional and semi-state champions, host number 9 East Central. The Trojans shut out Seymour and Franklin to win their sectional and has 10 regional championships, including the last 2 years, 6 semi-state titles, including 2 of the last 4, and 4 state championships, including the last 2 years. That was all in 4A. Moving up to 5A gives the 8-3 Trojans a much tougher regional test.
It does. Their tournament experience bodes well. I think that's going to be a very good game, too. And
you talk about a team that knows how to win.
Yes.
And a lot of those kids have won state championships.
Yes. Yeah, really, you talk about 2 teams that kind of know how to win.
Yes, they do.
So, like I said, should be a good game. Kind of like a dogfight. Game's at Decatur Central?
It is.
Okay. I say Decatur Central narrowly pulls out the win.
All right. The Sagarin prediction says Decatur Central by 13.
Okay. I just think the one thing, though, you can't take away is that now. That said, I don't know how many of those guys on East Central's roster played key roles, but if they have at least 8 to 10 of those guys that played roles the previous year or two, I say it can be closer than that, just because going up a class doesn't mean anything to them. They're like,
yeah,
we know how to win in the postseason.
They probably wanted to.
Yeah.
2 South Powers meet in 5A's southernmost regional when 9-2 Castle faces 7-4 Bloomington South. Number 8 Castle won its 16th sectional last week and is searching for its 8th regional title Friday against 13th ranked South. which has 12 regional championships, including last year when they beat Evansville North. South upset North last week. It was kind of an upset, I think.
Upset what? Bloomington North?
Yeah. North had beaten them in the regular season.
Yeah, I know, but when those two teams play each other.
That's why I said upset. 27-3, and Castle knocked off North 31-21.
Should be a good game. I think Castle will win.
Oh, yeah? Mm-hmm. Bloomington South is favored according to the Sagarin by 6. So, should be a good one.
It should be. And maybe Bloomington South, I shouldn't say anything because you never know, how how IU's football success has, excited or taken that energy to the high school level. And I say that because, football success is not something Bloomington's used to.
No, it's
period. And
South has had some really good
right, but I mean there is a brand new energy down there and on
Absolutely.
that campus, and and it can carry over. And
Absolutely.
But I still think Castle will win.
Huntington North is playing for its first ever regional championship after winning its first sectional championship in 31 years last Friday by beating Lebanon 31-28 in overtime. The 9-3 Vikings host 11-1 and second-ranked East Noble, which last won a regional title in 2019. East Noble has already beaten Huntington North this season, 28-16 in Week 3. The Knights are 10-0 all-time against Huntington.
Wow, well, you got the law of averages says you got to win one at some point. So why not? Why not this year?
It's been a really special year in Huntington.
Sometimes it's just winning that first sectional gets you over the hump. I mean, it's kind of what Tipton did. 88 they win that and it took them over the hump, and then they won the regional and
been winning them ever since.
So it just takes one to get that. I wish Huntington North well, and I hope that happens for them, but I think East Noble will win.
The Sagarin, you got a Sagarin prediction?
East Noble by 17.
That would have been my guess. It's 11.
Okay.
Number 6, Mishawaka got by defending regional champion Northwood last Friday for its third sectional championship and will host 9-3 New Prairie. New Prairie won its fourth straight by knocking off Hanover Central last Friday to win sectional 17. The win over Northwood gave Mishawaka its 12th sectional championship in 16 years. The Cavemen last won a regional, though, in 2018. These programs haven't met since 2019 and haven't played in the postseason since 2017. Don't know. We're not going to know much about these. These are probably the couple of the teams we'll know least about.
I didn't even think. I probably should have said, let's try to get a hold of Josh Sigler, who used to has covered sports in the Wabash area and for Kokomo. He's not into journalism so much anymore, but he lives up there in that area, and he's gone to watch the Caveman and gone to some of those football games up there because he's a former Blue Devil football player, and I think he also
if they win, we can make that happen.
Yes, we can.
And the Sagarin says Mishawaka by 7.
All right.
The 4A South, one of the teams I forgot to mention that is kind of one on the edge of our coverage area. Number 1, New Palestine will face number 5, Chittard. The Dragons and Trojans have won 23 combined regional championships. Chittard has won 20 in the last 26 years. New Pal's won 8, with 6 of those coming in the last 12 years, including 3 state championships. The Dragons went unbeaten through the sectional for the 5th time in the last 6 years. The Dragons and Trojans have played 6 times, with 3 wins each. The last time they played was 2013. New Pal won 27-14 on their way to a semi-state title. That's going to be a good one.
That's going to be a good one. Go New Pal.
Sagarin rating, you got to guess, at Chittard.
It's at Chittard. Chittard by 1.
That's exactly right. Chittard by 1. The southernmost regional in Class 4A is 10-2 Wrights at 11-1 Martinsville. Wrights has won 7 regional championships, but none since 2010. The Evansville Power won its first sectional championship in 8 years last week after blowing out Central, Jasper, and Boonville. 11-1 Martinsville hasn't won a regional championship since, you got to guess?
It's been a long, long time.
1996. The Artesians' only loss in the regular season came against 5A sectional champion Plainfield, and that was the last game of the regular season. 50-37, by the way. You got a guess on this one?
I guess it wasn't last. Oh, sorry. I guess on this one, Martinsville by 2?
Wrights by 1. So very close. All right, to Class 3A. Lures also expects to be in the regional every year. The Knights won their 29th sectional championship last Friday, 34-28 over Mississinawa. They'll be playing for their 23rd regional championship Friday at Mechaniqua, which of course is playing in their first regional ever. Mechaniqua tied its record for wins in a season 3 weeks ago and have added a 10th, 11th, and 12th win in the sectional, including 17-14 over two-time defending champion West Lafayette on the road last week.
Yeah, that's a big win for Mechaniqua, and impressive. We talked to Coach Caleb Small, Northwestern's first-year head coach, whose team played Mechaniqua, and it was really the only game that Northwestern you would say they weren't in all year. And he said Mechaniqua's got, he thinks they can win and that they're just really, really good. Lines and defense is really good, maybe underrated. For Mechaniqua, they have nothing to lose if that's how they approach it. The thing is, you see Lures, and Lures is beatable because teams have beaten Lures in the tournament. But, the one thing they do is when they come, there's a swagger. It's a swagger when they step from the coaching administrators, fans, and I don't mean that in a mean way.
No, of course.
But they walk onto a field in the tournament and they expect to win, and it's like, you got to come and beat us because we're not going to beat ourselves. And they don't make very many mistakes. Now, that said, I remember Tipton had a couple chances and one really close loss. And if Fort Wayne Lures didn't have a kid by the name of Jalen Smith, who went on to start Notre Dame and play linebacker for the Cowboys and different teams in the NFL, then that, Tipton probably wins that. I mean, Tipton's actually up at halftime. Smith played defensive end the entire first half. And then he gets to play out. Then they brought him in to the backfield to play offense as well as defense in the second half. And he was just a difference maker. That's what Lures brings to the table, because not necessarily they have another guy quite like as talented as Jalen Smith, but, they control their enrollment. And let's face it, private schools control their enrollment. And as such, they're going to have most of their male students in there, since that's what counts to them. They're going to be able to play football, and they're going to be pretty good. So where they may not have to play as many kids two ways, or even two ways for as long as what somebody else does, and that's just an advantage they have. I would love to see Mechaniqua win. And pull off the upset, but I do think Lures comes out of that.
Sagron prediction?
Sagron prediction probably has Mechaniqua maybe by 3.
Mechaniqua by 1. Michelle and I spoke with, as she said, Northwestern head coach Caleb Small on Wednesday about the Braves' historic season. He also had things to say about Eastern and Taylor and, of course, his program's own incredible season. And that will be up at the end of this segment here. Garrett looks like the team to beat in the North. Unbeaten and fourth ranked, the Railroaders knocked off number 10 West Noble 21-20 on the road last Friday. Garrett's last regional championship was in 2016, its second in program history. This week's opponent, Knox, is 9-3 after beating Mishawaka Marion 12-0 in last week's sectional final. The Redskins are surrendering just 11 points per game in their last 4 games. Garrett and Knox have never played each other. The Sagarin rating has Garrett by 11. That's what we expect in that one, right?
Yes.
3A South. Tri-West started the season 2-4, but has won 6 straight heading into Friday's regional at Batesville. The Bruins beat Washington, Cascade, and Guerin to win their third sectional in 4 years. Batesville came out of a balanced sectional 30 field by beating Franklin County and Lawrenceburg. The Bulldogs' only regional championship came in 1986. The Sagarin rating has Batesville by 1, which surprised me a little bit.
Yeah, me too, a little bit. Means they think it's going to be a close game. Probably will. Usually when you get to the regional round, you don't have too many games that are bigger spreads, and usually 14 is usually maybe the biggest, except for just a few. I'll take Tri-West though.
I will too. When each week on John Harrell's website, there's the next week's games, and every once in a while I won't even bother putting a team on because I know they're not going to win. This week, though, out of all the games, there was only one where I didn't bother putting the semi-state, one of the teams in the semi-state, because I know they're not going to win. No offense, North Harrison, but they won their first sectional championship last Friday. Defending semi-state champion Heritage Hills won its 15th and will host the Cougars on Friday. Heritage Hills beat number 1 Evansville Memorial 38-24 last week to win sectional 32. Sagarin prediction?
Heritage Hills. That might be one that they actually predict, like Heritage Hills by 28.
Oh, you're not even close. 43.
Okay. Well, I just thought they might try to be nice, but
it's a computer.
Heritage Hills is going to roll their way. I really think they can pack that. Go ahead and make reservations. You might not want to tell the kids, but go ahead and reserve the charter buses to come to Indy on Thanksgiving weekend.
I think you're right. That's the one. That's the one that I'm pretty sure of all of them is making the trip to Indianapolis. Class 2A in the North, Central Catholic moved up to 2A and hasn't missed a beat this year. The Knights are ranked number 1 and beat North Montgomery 60-6 last week for their 6th sectional championship in a row. They face 8-4 Andrean this week. The 59ers shut out Whiting, Wheeler, and Bremen to win their 5th sectional championship in 6 years.
All right, I will say this. Central Catholic, almost all of their postseason successes come in Class A. But this is a different breed. And I remember Tipton beat Central Catholic the last year they went to when they went to state in 2013, they actually beat Central Catholic. They were in sectional together and beat them. It was Tipton had to come back and win. And Austin Hooker completed a touchdown pass to Nate Friend late in the game to give Tipton the win. But that Central Catholic is doing what they've done and in the sectional, not really being challenged. Coach Aaron Toll said earlier this year when he played Central Catholic that this is the most complete Central Catholic team he thinks they have faced. And he says they've had good ones, but complete in the balance. Their running game is as strong as their passing game, and their defense is really, really good, and they get after people. And I will say that's probably one area that Central Catholic maybe has struggled with maybe before against teams in 2A, or bigger, was defensively, and they're not really doing that this year. I really believe the Knights will win on Friday night, and they'll be playing in a 2A semi-state with a chance to make it to the 2A state championship, which that semi-state can end up to be quite entertaining. Kind of a contrast in styles of things go accordingly.
Got a guess on the Sagarin rating?
Central Catholic by 7.
6.
Only because I know Andrean's also experienced a lot of tournament success. They're also a private school and everything. I just think that, like I said, but if Andrean wins, I won't be surprised. I just think Central Catholic will.
Eastern is making its regional debut at Adams Central, a program making its 17th regional appearance on Friday. The Comets have won 7 in a row since a 1-4 start. They beat Blackford, Rochester, and Tipton to win their first sectional ever last week. Adams Central is 3-0 all-time against the Comets.
Yeah, I hate it because I really like Josh Edwards a lot, and I'm ecstatic that he got his win, got the Comets to the regional. A former player who was always loved his his high where he grew up and where he had his playing career, and so it's always nice when you can go back and take them and have success. And it took him a while to get there, but he did. So I'm ecstatic for him. Unfortunately for the Comets, I just think Adams Central is just that experience. And even though it came in Class A, there's just something about it. And, and I know Eastern's been pretty good against the run. I thought Tipton had some success against that run. Now, granted, they spread him, kind of spread Eastern out. But I will say this, if Adams Central can win that line of scrimmage, and if they're big and strong, I just don't see.
They always are.
Yeah, I just don't see Eastern unless, Adams Central has an injured player or something, or just and it would be real uncharacteristic for them to shoot themselves in the foot with turnovers.
Want to guess the Sagarin prediction?
Adams Central by 21?
20. You're very good tonight. I wouldn't completely count out Eastern. It's unlikely, but I wouldn't completely count them out. Michelle and I spoke to Josh Edwards on Monday. We talked to him about the win on Friday, but then we've already played that one on the weekend review. As our preview, we are going to now play the second part of that.
Josh, so this week, having myself the experience of covering a lot of, or some programs that have won their first sectionals, and even when they win that sectional week, I know it's full of a lot of things. People want to treat you to dinner and that, and all of that stuff. So, what's your game plan, you and your coaches, to make sure that the kids don't get wrapped up in the celebrating and lose a little bit of focus in the preparation? Because you got a tough road. You got a tough road trip coming Friday.
Yeah, we do. Right, we're going to number one be on the bus for quite a while, and then we're going to play a very good football team when we get there. So today, what we started off with, we always start in the weight room on Mondays, and then we go watch film, and then we go have an actual practice. So my main thing that I started off our film session with today was, number one, I'm proud of you guys. You guys should be proud of yourself, I said. But I also want them to realize that there's more work to be done. Because I feel like, again, after watching film, that this Friday's winnable. And at this point, with the way our guys are playing, they need to believe, and that's the number one word that we're going to have to stress on this week, is believe that, we can go to, what's it called, Monon? What's that place called? We're going, Adams Central. Where's that at?
Yeah, I believe that's right.
Is that the name of the city? Okay.
I can look it up, but yeah, I think so.
You'll be going through Amish country to get up there.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. But, our guys got to believe, and this is great. The sectional championship's awesome. And again, outstanding achievement. And, my main thing to them was that, we don't want to go Friday and just appear that we are satisfied with where we're at. We want to go Friday, and we want to give our best effort. And if Adams Central is just simply better than us, then we got to prove that they're better than us, right? They have to beat us. I want them to beat us on Friday, not us not show up. So, that's kind of the stress, is belief this week, We've got to prepare as though we're going to win. And if we don't, we have to make sure it's because Adams Central was simply better than us. So that's kind of what I pounded into their heads today was that, yeah, man, be proud, enjoy it, love it, cherish it. It's a great memory. I mean, I'm going to. But at the same time, let's not be satisfied. Let's be greedy. We're playing with house money now. Nobody expected us to be here. And let's just go let everything fly.
So you expect to come home from Monroe, Indiana, with your first regional championship as well.
Well, I think we have an opportunity. Yes. Again, the big thing about Adams Central, watching their film, is that you can see why they're so successful every year. Is that I've watched 2 or 3 films now, 2 or 3 different games, and they haven't turned the ball over once. And a lot of that is the other teams force turnovers, but it's sometimes, some teams are sloppy and they haven't. I've seen maybe 5 penalties in 3 games also. And so they do not beat themselves. So we have a huge task in front of us, but that's what I told our guys today. I said, physically, guys, they're very good. They're good athletes. They're good football players. They're well coached, but they are no different than you. But here's the difference. If you play sloppy, you turn the ball over and you have penalties, they're going to whip the snot out of you. And so that's what I'm kind of stressing to the guys. They got to believe. We've got to play clean, smart football this week, and we'll give ourselves a chance to win on Friday.
And you're going to kind of match their focus because you're not going to match their experience of tournament success.
Oh, no way.
So with what they've done in Class A, but I know they're up, I think so. But it's just your kids are capable of matching their focus.
Yeah, I think so. And that's the thing is that last week, we had Braylon number 1. Braylon Word was the main guy, but we had several other kids saying, we're not losing this week. And that was the intent of every practice that I could see. So our kids have to match that focus, like you said, Michelle. We're not going to match the 25 sectional championships that Adams Central has, which is what I found out they have. They have 24 in Class A and 21 in 2A now. So, we've got 1. So this is the first time our guys have played in mid-November. So that experience, that aura of playing this late, we don't have. But we can match the enthusiasm, the preparation, and then that the focus that's there.
Go ahead, Greg. Sorry.
You talked about the coaching and how disciplined they are. Besides that, what do they do well, and what concerns you about what Adams Central does?
Yeah, again, I think defensively, I compared them to our kids a lot like Tipton, to where Tipton doesn't give up huge plays, and they didn't. Adams Central is the same way. I watched the Bluffton film, and they'd give up 8 yards, they'd give up 8 yards, they'd give up 6 yards, then bam, tackle for loss, no gain, and then an incomplete pass, and then, the other Bluffton's punting. Then they blocked the punt. So that's what scares me, is that we've got to be okay with a 4-yard run. We've got to be okay with a 6-yard pass. So my guys have to realize that that's okay. We might have to grind the ball, but their defense is so disciplined. They do not allow big plays, which means our kids are going to have to be patient. Offensively, again, they do what they do. They are a wing T team. They're going to run jet sweep, rocket sweep, down option, belly, and every once in a while they're going to pop a play action pass and catch you guys looking in the backfield. They're going to score a touchdown. So nothing fancy. It's what we see week 1 versus Oak Hill, the same exact offense. And we are playing very good against that type of offense right now. But, again, they don't have negative plays. They don't have the penalties to put them behind the chain, and they're not going to put the ball on the ground. So that does worry me. We are going to have to make some plays where it's no gain, a tackle for loss here or there, to make them play from behind the sticks. And if we don't do that, it's going to be very hard for us to win.
Josh, special teams, I know Owen converted that field goal early, and I know he's kicked some field goals. But then the 3 blocked PATs or whatever, I'm sure that's going to be addressed this week.
Yes. We had a meeting today, just me, my special teams coach, and then my former special teams coach who retired this year. We met today to discuss that exact topic. And, part of it is our snap speed has to be faster. It was too slow on Friday. We've got to get the ball back quicker. But we've also, this is something, seems silly, but we've got to get some wider butts on the right side of our line. We had too many kids that are thin, which actually shortened up that right side by about 2 feet, which made that edge shorter for the pump or for the PAT blocker to get to. So we addressed that. We're going to make some personnel changes, and then we've also got to work a little bit with that wing on making sure that he at least gets a punch on that outside rush guy to make sure we don't get the PAT blocked. So, because we missed 3 PATs in the regionals. If we score 3 touchdowns, I'll be feeling pretty good, to be honest. but if we miss three PATs, that's going to obviously put you in a pickle. And it about did on Friday, right? If we make those 3 PATs, we're up by 9. Yeah. At that point in the game, and it's a 2-possession game rather than a 1. So, but yeah, that was addressed today. We had a meeting before we went to the field after our film with just my special teams coach and our former special teams coach on how we could adjust that.
And then punt, you said Adams Central has blocked punt or whatever. So, yes, special teams, when you get to this round, they're always important. But the farther you go in the tournament, sometimes the more important they become.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be crucial. Their kickoff and kickoff return aren't spectacular, but they're not bad either. They don't do anything that's going to lose them the game on either one of those. But watching their punt return, they try to block every punt. And the Bluffton game that I watched, they blocked 2 in a row, and one of them went for a touchdown. So that's going to be something where we'll have to shore up our protection there. And then we have to make sure on our punt return to at least catch the football, because moving the ball against Adams Central is going to be difficult. So that's something that we'll really have to focus on this week as well. Even if we don't get a return, we need to fair catch it, make sure that ball doesn't hit and roll and we lose an extra 20 yards. Because, again, I think field position and the yards we have to gain will be crucial in this game.
Okay, yeah, Coach, I know.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead, Greg.
Coach, what about the job or what about what's going on down there at Taylor?
Yeah, man. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So when we played them, they were perfectly healthy. They had Javion at quarterback, who's just a tremendous athlete, next level athlete.
Right.
And they were solid. They were very solid defensively, explosive offensively, but just not polished. And so he actually missed, that kid, Javion actually missed, I think, 3 or 4 games with a broken hand after our game. And so I know he's back. And so I think, they've got, and Coach Patchett talked about them having some world-class athletes. He's not lying. They do have some kids on that team that can fly around on the field. So I don't know. I don't know if it was a mismatch problem or what for Pioneer, but, man, congrats for Taylor, though, right? That's an awesome achievement.
To beat Tri-County and Pioneer, 2 teams with a combined 16 wins in back-to-back weeks, that's no fluke.
Yeah, man. You look at the Pioneer win, right? That's the one that sticks out because they just got done thumping Carroll.
Right.
Thumping them. And then they come back and they got hammered by Taylor. So it's a great win for Coach Patchett at Taylor.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you so much for.
It's a great time there in Howard County.
That's right.
Howard County, and I know technically Connequa's not in Howard County, but they're close enough. It's the programs to win their first sectional is pretty special.
Yeah, that's pretty cool because my quarterbacks coach and my defensive backs coach is actually the strength coach at McConaughey.
Yeah.
So he knows all those kids over there, and he says they're tremendous kids. It's a lot of the kids that run track, right, that are on the football team, and their track team is stellar. So yeah, it's a pretty cool accomplishment. You got 3 teams in this pretty tri-county area, Tipton County, Howard, and Miami, getting 3 sectional championships. So that's pretty cool.
And between you and McConaughey, you're playing programs with about 60 sectional championships between you.
Yeah, I know, man. Yeah, it's so we've got our work cut out for us, but we'll see what happens. And I think what's Lure's got, like 13 state titles or 12 state titles.
13, that's right. Yeah,
it's something crazy.
All right, Coach.
That's why you play the games on Fridays, right, Josh? Is because you never know what will happen. No, exactly. And I think that's probably what a lot of people said about last week's game with Taylor playing Pioneers, that Taylor didn't have a chance. Well, look what happened. They proved people wrong. So, and that's why you play it. And that's what I told our kids is that, hey, listen,
we're one really good game away from being in the Final Four of the state tournament. I said, so we got to put together our best game, and then we got to hope for a few breaks here and there, and then we're moving on.
In the South, in Class 2A, 3-time reigning Class A state champion Indianapolis Lutheran moved up to 2A in the offseason and had the same success in the sectional. The Saints thrashed Heritage Christian, Ritter, and Monrovia by more than 30 points per game. Lutheran had its 36-game winning streak snapped earlier this season by Triton Central, the same Triton Central team that LaPel beat 27-17 last Friday in the Sectional 38 Championship. LaPel has never won a regional. The last Madison County team to win a regional was Elwood in 1987 when they won the semi-state.
Wow.
Want to guess the Sagarin prediction?
Oh, Lutheran by 8?
Lutheran by 14.
I think LaPel can keep it close. I remember when LaPel came over to Tipton to play in a sectional championship a few years ago. And they had a really good passing attack and a pretty good running back. And I think they felt pretty good about themselves. And Tipton ended up pulling that out. And it was an exciting game. And it was a good game. The weapons, and I thought at that time, Tipton's schedule and who they'd played was the determining factor, because I thought LaPel had a nice record, but they didn't have, quite the wins against some of the bigger schools, and Tipton was in the Hoosier Conference. And that was really before they played the divisions, I believe, in the Hoosier Conference. So Tipton had played West Side, Central Catholic, Rensselaer, who was really good at that time. Played everybody. The only probably team that wasn't really up to speed in the Hoosier Conference was Benton Central, but it's pretty good. And but I think LaPel kind of maybe learned from that, and as an independent, I think they improved their schedule. So that's helped them. That helped them win their section, I really believe. And I think that will factor into how competitive they are in the regional. And, if Lutheran overlooks LaPel or whatever. So I do think LaPel I think they have a good chance to win that game.
I'll take LaPel.
And I'll root for LaPel. My only thing is why I would give a slight edge to Lutheran is because of that experience. I don't think, and again, because they've had it, they're going to come in. They're going to come in with a confidence. I don't think they're going to be real nervous and everything. And so I just, for LaPel, it's all going to come down to taking care of the football. If they take care of the football, they have, I really like their chances to win.
I spoke with Rob Hunt on Monday about this. Everybody go back and find that Football Week in Review. We talked about LaPel and what they accomplished in the sectional. We talked about how the schedule definitely helped them in that run. They'd seen teams like that all year. They weren't intimidated by anybody. They won't be intimidated this week. So go back and find that. And we talked about that. I actually predicted on that one that LaPel will win this regional. I really believe that they will. And if they do, they will play either Brownstown Central or Linton Stockton. By the way, Michelle, I don't know all the coaches in Indiana, but I don't think any coach deserves to win a state championship more than Brownstown head coach Reed May, and this looks like it may be the year. In his 32nd year, it looks like that might be the team. In 32 years at Brownstown, he's won 21 Mid-Southern Conference championships, 14 sectionals, and 3 regionals, but no semi-state or state championships. I hope it's them in LaPel, and I will definitely be for LaPel. But I love Reed May. He's one of my favorites that I've ever covered, and he deserves it.
It would be nice to see them get there. It was great to see their basketball team have the success that they had, because they had been really good for a lot of years and not necessarily
so good at everything, aren't they?
Yeah, we talked about it. Caleb Small talked about it, as you guys will hear later. Success breeding success, and and I think that kind of does. And I think Brownstown Central will win. I think they'll beat Linton Stockton. Linton Stockton's not quite as good as maybe they've been in the past.
Most of their successes come in Class A too.
Yes, so it's Brownstown Central. I see them going to the semi-state, and
It'll be a tough test either way if they get there.
yes.
So it's definitely not guaranteed. This year, Brownstown is beating teams by an average of 40 points per game. Beat Switzerland County, Paoli, and Tell City by a combined 147-36 to win the sectional. Linton was the 2016 Class A state champions. They won their 16th sectional Friday with a 42-39 win over Greencastle. It's the first meeting ever between the programs. Want to guess the Sagarin rating? Prediction?
Brownstown by 14.
Brownstown by 9. Now we go to Class A in the North. Taylor's reward for winning its first sectional championship ever is number 1, North Judson. North Judson is 12-0 by outscoring its opponents by 50 points per game this season. Not a great schedule, but still. The Blue Jays whipped South Newton, Culver, and LaVille by a combined 173-38 in the sectional, their 4th straight sectional championship.
North Judson. All I will say is this: I expect North Judson to win, but they better have some speed, because if they don't have speed, then look out, because Taylor could really give them a game and could pull off the shocker.
Well, when I get to the Sagarin prediction, let's just say that Taylor's won games where they've overcome a higher Sagarin than this one. So it's not impossible. They're one of the teams I definitely moved on to the semi-state when I was doing my preparation. So, by the way, their 7 wins is the most since they went 8-2 in 1997. The Titans blew out Winnemac, Tri-County, and Pioneer to win the sectional championship. Just an incredible run. Before this, we were talking about Coach Patchett being Coach of the Year before the sectional even started. And now it's like, well, unless one of these guys wins the state championship, he's going to have to be our Coach of the Year. The Sagarin prediction says North Judson by 21.
Yeah, that's, again, and it'll be interesting, because for Taylor, because they are going up there, right?
Not a lot of seniors either. That's a program that might be on the rise.
Yes, and it might be, and I hope so. I mean, Patchett's done a nice job out there. As long as these kids understand, you don't have anything to lose by just going and playing really hard, and just go take care of the football. I know it is nerving, and enjoy the environment. Don't let the environment make you nervous. Just breathe and take it all in.
South Adams won its 11th sectional championship last Friday by upsetting number 4 Madison Grant 43-36. It's been an incredible run for the Starfires, who entered the postseason 4-5. They upset the Argyles last week after they came back from 32-6 down at halftime at Tri to win 43-32 in the semifinals.
I think South Adams is a bit like Eastern was. They have a good passing attack, but they had a new quarterback this year. Their quarterback graduated, who had posted a lot of big numbers, just like Eastern. Eli Edwards graduated, and his running back. Top 2 offensive performers, and lost a secondary receiver. Braylon Ward came back, which is really good. It takes time to, especially I think when you run spread offenses and you like to pass like that, I think it takes time to everybody to get into a rhythm, because as we talked with Josh, when we've talked to him, summer scrimmages and 7-on-7s and that stuff, they're all different. And even the preseason, because coaches are in the huddle, they're out on the field, and so they can make those corrections and adjustments after each play. But when you get to the season, they're not out there anymore, and that can't happen. So I think it takes a while, film study, practice to work on that. And both of them found their rhythm at the most important time.
South Adams' last regional title and just 3rd overall came in 2020 when it won its only semi-state championship. You know why, though, right?
Yeah, because they have Adam Central.
Forever.
In their way, yes.
My first assignment at the Fort Wayne News Sentinel was covering a sectional championship between South Adams and Adams Central. And Adams Central won 8-7 and went on to the state to play in the state championship games.
Well, let me tell you, I made that trip to South Adams because Tri Central played South Adams in back-to-back years.
That's right.
In the 2013 regional, they won. I wasn't there that year, but they won that on the way to win the Class A state championship. And I don't think it was the regional. I saw them play. I saw him play. Either it was maybe before, or something in there. But so South Adams is not. I mean, it's a good football program, and it has been for a lot of years. So yeah, I won't be surprised if the Starfires win, and no one's probably happier than they are that Adams Central is now in 2A.
No kidding. They now face 10-2 North Miami, beat Triton last Friday to win its first sectional championship since 2012. Their only regional crown came in 1993 when they won the Class A state championship, and I was covering a game for the Tipton Tribune that night, and they beat Tri Central in the regional that year. Was it the regional? Or was it sectional championship? Tri Central won the sectional in 1993.
91.
Yes.
1991.
Okay, 91.
Or 94. Right. No, maybe it was 93. You know what? I
know that I covered Tri Central in North Miami. It might.
Well,
I believe it was a sectional game.
Okay.
All right. The two teams have only played once. South Adams beat North Miami 20-14 in the opening round of the 2010 sectional.
Well, here's what we learned. Because you saw South Adams play Tipton week 1 of the season. And what we learned because of South Adams, their big come from behind win, was it in the sectional?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sectional, yeah.
Yeah, when they were down almost 30 or about 30 points.
32-6.
They were close.
26 points, yeah.
They were close to the mercy rule. And they came back and they won. And what we said is, the thing is with South Adams, whoever they play is going to understand, they don't believe themselves ever out of a game.
Correct.
They're going to play from opening whistle to the final horn.
They made Tipton uncomfortable in week 1
and
after it was 27-0.
And they run that up-tempo, and I know like Eastbrook can run that up-tempo, that no-huddle, but I think it's more dangerous when it's a team that can spread you out and pass because, with Eastbrook they run it, but you're pretty much sure that it's going to be a running play. But when you can throw the ball, you can get secondary guys catching, mid-communication or mixed coverages. Because of their ability of Class A, their ability to throw the football like they do, that makes them a dangerous team.
The Sagarin prediction says South Adams by 9. In the South, Coach Bud Wright won his 22nd sectional championship by whipping Clinton Central, Clinton Prairie, and Cloverdale. The Blackhawks entered the postseason 4-5 and outscored their sectional opponents 134-40. Now they turn their attention to winning their first regional championship since 2008, which would be their 10th overall when they go to South Putnam to face the 10-2 Eagles. South Putnam averaged 40.8 points per game this season, including 50 points per game in the postseason. The two programs have played each other 6 times in the postseason, the latest being in 2016 when the Blackhawks won 49-12. Sheridan leads the all-time series 4-2.
Yeah, you can never count out a Bud Wright coach team. I mean, they just...
The Sagarin rating says that you can. South Putnam by 20.
I don't think it'll be 20, but I think South Putnam will probably get this one. Although Sheridan is healthy, if they've got both running backs back, that makes them a little bit more dangerous. That's why I think it'll be closer. I just don't know that they have been consistent enough. And no offense, but I really don't think that sectional they were in was a super competitive sectional. I know, that Clinton Prairie and Clinton Central.
Yeah, we said that from the start.
Yeah, HHC teams, Tri Central was in that, and even Cloverdale. I don't think it was a real strong sectional.
Correct. But all Bud Wright does is win sectionals. Yeah. Unbeaten and third-ranked Providence looks like a serious state championship contender after going 11-1 through the sectional championship. The Pioneers won their third straight sectional last week by beating North Davies 51-6. They'll be big favorites again against 8-4 Milan, which beat North Decatur 24-17 last week for its first sectional title since 2016. Neither team has won a regional in a long, long time. Providence's only regional championship came in 1993 when they were state runners-up under Gene Sartini. And Milan's only regional title was in 1996. The Pioneers beat Milan 35-21 on October 4th. Milan and Providence have been regulars on their schedules for the last 8 years. The Pioneers have won 6 of the 8 meetings. The Sagarin prediction says Providence by 20.
I think Providence will win, and probably it could be close to what the Sagarin predicts.
It's definitely not going to be, these are not certain wins, but South Putnam and Providence next week could be a lot of fun too. Again, two teams that have had really, really good seasons.
Oh, yeah. Yes, definitely.
And a lot of potential great semi-states next week.
We've gone through them all, right?
Yes, that's it.
Okay. So now it's going to be interesting to see if any of these coaches, especially in the central Indiana area, that maybe are down class, will look to take head coaching jobs, because there are 2 openings in the area, Noblesville and then Carmel. John Herbert resigned, and so did Noblesville's head coach. So you get 2 schools here in central Indiana that are going to be looking for head coaches. And, Kevin Wright preceded Herbert at Carmel. Then he left to go down to Florida. And my guess is that Kevin wants to be around. Of course, he was on staff with Tom Allen, at IU. So I don't know if I know he'd coached some at Western Kentucky. I don't know if Kevin wants to go back to the college level or if he wants to be here, close to his dad, now that Bud is getting up there, is in his 80s. So it'll be interesting to see if Carmel and he have any mutual interest in renewing that relationship.
I can imagine that's a possibility. All right, Michelle, thank you so much. Talking about high school football for an hour was a lot of fun.
Yes, it was.
Please stay tuned for special guest Northwestern head coach Caleb Small, who led the Tigers to a 9-2 season in his first year with the program. Coach Small faced Eastern and Maconaquah this season. He talks about that and a lot more coming up.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengel.
Welcome to the podcast, Northwestern head coach Caleb Small. Before we get started, just want to say we've been talking about all year on this podcast what an amazing job you did. What an incredible first year at Northwestern, Coach.
Well, I appreciate it. It had a lot of people buy in and do anything that was asked, and that was really the start of it. And it obviously takes a village. It's not a one-man thing, and the kids totally bought in, parents bought in, and we had a fun year. Ended a little short, but it was a step in the right direction for sure.
Hey, before we go on, Caleb, I want to, on behalf of Greg and myself, express our condolences to you and to the Hamilton, your alumni network of the Hamilton Heights community on the passing of Jared Mason. I know you know him, and he was just a great guy.
Yeah, I appreciate that, really do. That one hit close. He's number one, he's a football guy, and obviously he's really, really important to that whole community. And, I've had ties with him my whole life. So it was a shock and really unfortunate. And I just hope that everybody is able to recover from it. He's really important to the whole community, and speaks on behalf of him and who he was as a person. But
it does. It's not often that you go to an athletic event and you see the principal standing at one end of the gym, and you see students go out of their way to go hang out with him for a little bit, and they did that at Hamilton Heights.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was loved. And he wasn't easy on the kids. He had high expectations, but at the end of the day, they also knew that he loved them, and it was real. And we're gonna miss him in this profession. That's for sure.
All right, thanks, guys. I really appreciate you guys bringing that up, and condolences from us too. Coach, here to talk about a couple of teams that you've played this year who are still alive in the regional. Let's start with Eastern. Michelle has some firsthand experience as well, watching them last week. Tell me about Eastern and what you saw from them.
Well, it was a weird night. It ended up being two games in a lot of ways.
That's right.
It was a game where we had the tornadoes and all that type of stuff, bad weather. So we came back in the morning and finished then. The first thing I'll say about Eastern is that they're very well coached, and I think that comes to no shock of anyone that when you play them, you're going to get their best. And then the other thing is how physical. How physical and how hard they played, and that speaks to their coaching. And Coach Edward does a great job. He's done it for a long time. He knows what he's doing. Proud of him for getting to the regional and winning some games in November. That's huge for his program, and it's a team that you always know is going to give you their best shot. You always know that they're going to get better throughout the year as well. And that speaks to him as a head coach and to their staff.
You have a question?
I don't have a question regarding Eastern so much, I don't think, but real quick to go back, I want to reiterate what Greg said and congratulate you. We did talk about all year what an amazing job you did, and I know your dad is really proud of you, and he was so proud when you got the job. But real quick, for you, you played at Heights, you were part of the Hoosier Conference, right? Or were you MIC?
I was in the MIC. The Hoosier Conference was just after me, so it's dating my age a little bit. But
that's right. And you got to still you got to play a lot of teams you were familiar with as a player.
Oh, absolutely. Northwestern being one, and every team that we played at Heights was from basically the same area, whether it was the Three Rivers Conference or whether it was Howard County, And so just familiar foes like Peru. I hadn't been to Peru in a long time, since 2007. Got to go there again this year. And it was funny. It was like, man, you take that in a little bit. Like it's been a long time since I've been here, but now I'm familiar with it. Just rolling into the parking lot and just places like that. Mechanical, same thing. And then going to Eastern. I remember going to Eastern my freshman and junior year of high school, and the field, it hadn't changed very much. It was, the sun's still setting and in the way, and there's a familiarity from my MIC days for sure for the schedule that we played this year.
So how's football changed since how has the game changed? Your perspective from when you played among those schools to now when you go back as a head coach, do you think has it evolved a lot, or is there still a lot of some of the same philosophies or things that they still have some of those have that they had when you were a player?
I think it's changed a little bit, like schematically, and some people's offensive philosophies, especially. We got in our conference, just across the board, we have to prepare for pretty much any kind of offense known to man, and that's a challenge weekly. I don't think it used to be like that near as much. You didn't really have any true spread type of teams. You didn't have a lot of variables as far as, you're going to see a single wing team one week, a wing T team the next week, and a 10 personnel spread team the next week. So I think it's changed a little bit in that regard, just as people have evolved and coaches have learned and just gotten better, to be honest. As far as high school football goes, though, in my opinion, it's very similar to when I played, in that it's important to the whole community. That's why a place like Northwestern is so special, because it is important to the community. You can tell on a Friday night that it's important and it means something. And it was like that to me, in my playing days at Hamilton Heights. It was important. And as a team, I still see the bonds that are being made that they're going to have forever. Some of my best friends were my high school football teammates and still are to this day. And, I still see that, those bonds being formed and some unity there, and just the importance of football. I still think it's probably greater now than it was, to be honest. It's really important that the football team has success in a lot of schools. And, that was one of our goals this year, was to get off on the right start for our whole athletic program and our whole school, not just the football program.
So tell me then, with that you play Mechanical, and especially like for teams like Eastern, Taylor, and Mechanical, for them to win their school's first sectional championship, that's got to be huge moments. But this has got to be huge week for them, just knowing that they've gotten over that hump.
Yeah, absolutely. That's important. It's hard. I always say success breeds success. So now, now that they've gotten over the hump, they all three have really, really good coaching staffs, very well respected coaches across the board. And now that the kids know and the program knows what it takes and what it looks like, I believe that'll just help them in the future. In respect to Mechanical, that was huge for the Three Rivers Conference, in my opinion, for them to beat a Hoosier Conference team in the sectional final and walk away with the trophy. That speaks volumes to Coach Fenters and his staff and their players, in that they didn't back down from what maybe, some may have thought, maybe couldn't have won the game or shouldn't have won the game. They didn't back down, and they proved that, the Three Rivers Conference is real, and there's some good competition that it will prepare them for playoff success.
What about what areas or what part of Mechanical games or things they do could give Fort Wayne Lures a challenge? Because I know Lures is Lures, and you pretty much always know what you're going to get with the Fort Wayne team. The records don't always seem to matter, but you kind of know that you're getting a team that doesn't have to play a lot of guys both ways, or at least for 4 quarters both ways.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. I think the biggest thing Mechanical has that people that is underrated, in my opinion, because everyone talks about how athletic they are and how good they are on the perimeter offensively, because they are. They deserve that respect. But in my opinion, it was the best box that we saw all year, in that they could stop the run. They were hard to block. They were hard to block. And to be honest with you, they're the best tackling team on defense that we saw all year as well, where we thought, we had the ball in space a little bit, and we really didn't, because they were making tackles on, first guy at the point of attack. So I think defensively they're underrated in some respects, especially in the box. In their box play, 55 and 51, I'm negligent with their names, but in number 30, the linebacker, man, they can play football, and they're physical, and they can tackle, and they're very well coached, and you can tell.
They're definitely capable of beating Lures, you think, right?
Absolutely. I will say this. I've only seen a little bit on Lures, so I don't know. I can't give the best prediction in the world, but I know this, that they're going to compete with anybody in 3A North because of how well they can stop the run. And then obviously they're multiple as they can be on offense with a lot of weapons, and they're dangerous. They're dangerous.
And of course, you don't see Adams Central much either, and they're not exactly Fort Wayne, but that's going to be a tough one for Eastern as well.
Yeah, I believe Tipton played Adams Central. If I'm
South
not mistaken,
South Adams.
they play South Adams. Okay, okay. Well, that was the only common. That's the only common thing I could think of on top of my head. But yeah, I don't know anything about them. I know that they run a good program. It's not the first time that they've been in these shoes and the situation. So
Yeah.
But I'll say this: Eastern's going to play their butt off. Their community cares, and Coach Edwards is going to have a plan. It's not going to, one way or another, they're going to walk out of there knowing that they had a plan, and whether they executed it or not, is to be determined.
Yeah, what a run for Howard County football, and not the actors you usually expect.
Yeah, I know it's awesome. It's a cool night where you see. I know McConnell is not Howard County, but those foes that have played each other over the years, or coaches that have coached against each other over the years, to have the success they did in the sectional championship was a special night for them.
A special thanks to Michelle Garmon, who spent a couple hours with me tonight talking about all of the regionals across the state. She was fantastic as always, and thank you to Coach Small and Coach Edwards for spending the time with us and talking to all of you. It's been great getting to know all of the coaches this season. Hopefully, when I reach out to all of the coaches next year, we will have relationships with all of them. So we expect the Central Indiana Sports Report just to get better and better and better. But thanks most of all, as always, to you for listening. You are what makes the Central Indiana Sports Report. If you don't mind, please go like, subscribe, or follow us on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Amazon Music. I've got that memorized now. We got lots more coming up, so please tell a friend. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media.